Welcome everyone to today's critical panel. Humanity thrives because we develop a unique software of trust, shared story like laws, money, nations that bind millions into large-scale collaborative systems. But today, this software is clearly malfunctioning. Across the globe, we are witnessing an alarming trend of weakening trust, reduced collaboration, and increasing fragmentation. To understand what is happening and why, we need to analyze recent events. Dr. Wang, as an evolutionary sociologist, what specific examples illustrate these deteriorating trends, and what fundamental flaw underlies this breakdown?
Thank you, Zoe. The trends are painfully evident in recent history. We saw weakening trust and reduced collaboration in the 2025 US government shutdown, reduced collaboration in the 2021 ever-given blockage in the Suez Canal, and increasing fragmentation during the COVID-19 pandemic response. These are not isolated. They stem from a deeper pathology, the blind pursuit of unlimited external growth. We've mastered how to build, but forgotten what is right, which is more, turning our relationship with nature into violent extraction, like a bodybuilder overusing steroids. This pathology is amplified by three interacting factors, locking our civilization from different dimensions. First, cognitive hijacking. Our ancient brains prioritize identity over logic. Social media algorithms, built for engagement, feed us outrage, trapping us in hostile echo chambers. The 2025 US government shutdown highlighted how AI-fueled rhetoric made compromise politically toxic, paralyzing governance. This fuels weakening trust and fragmentation. Next, the modern luxury traps and structural locking. Imagine modern office workers burdened by massive debt, working ceaselessly to maintain a high standard of living. He knows this is destroying his health, but dare not stop. His entire financial system would collapse. Our global civilization is that indebted worker. We've built our economic on hyper-efficient supply chains with zero redundancy, optimized for endless growth. We know environmentally unsustainable practices are harmful, but we dare not hit the brakes. If global trade stops, the system sustaining billions collapse instantly. The 2021 ever-given blockage in the Suez Canal clearly demonstrated this structural lock-in. One-stack ships polarized global trades, individual actions to reroute, which protected specific companies but led to greater overall damage. This signifies reduced collaboration during crisis and the severity of structural lock-in. Finally, wishful thinking and cognitive mismatch. Our brains handle linear risk but struggle with nonlinear, slowly accumulating systemic risk. The COVID-19 pandemic response highlighted this. Initial wishful thinking, just a flu, delayed action, leading to tragic outcomes. This complacency masks fatal signals, reinforcing fragmentation. These three factors don't act alone. They create a vicious cycle. Cognitive hijacking destroys our ability to agree on trust and collaborate. This makes it impossible to escape from modern luxury traps and structural locking, which forces us down an unsustainable path. Meanwhile, wishful thinking blinds us to the cliff edge, allowing us to accelerate in false confidence, preventing us from taking the blunt, collaborative steps needed to overcome both the cognitive and structural challenges. Each factor fuels the other, weakening our ability to cooperate in solving large-scale problems like climate change.
So our minds are hijacked, our systems locked into unsustainability, and our brains prone to wishful thinking. Dr. Fung, these aren't just isolated problems. How do these three interacting factors lead to a cascading systemic collapse if left unmanaged?
Indeed, Zoe, when these three factors interact, they create a devastating, cascading systemic collapse. In the short term, we face severe social and political disintegration. The cognitive hijacking has led to the 2025 US government shutdown, where political paralyzed reigned directly lead to this. When populations are trapped into echo chambers, they can't agree on basic facts, paralyzing political systems. This internal rot then spread internationally, stalling cooperation on global challenges like climate change, similar to the initial fragmented global response to COVID-19. Moving to the midterm, we hit a wall of economic and environmental overstretch. The unlimited external growth, pathology, reinforced by structural lock-in, as painfully demonstrated by the ever-given instance, means we can't stop exploiting resources. This relentless pressure makes global supply chains critically fragile. Today, all our industries are future-oriented. From technology to agriculture, they rely on predictable conditions, stable climates, harvest, and uninterrupted trades. If society becomes unstable, these foundations crumbles. For instance, our reliance on agriculture means food security is paramount. We have no alternative food source to large-scale agriculture and animal husbandry. If climate change disrupts harvest, or if supply chain failures prevents fertilizers and seeds from reaching farmers, our food system will fail. This isn't a localized famine, it's a global paralysis. Economic collapses coupled with environmental degradation triggers social unrest. In the long term, we face humanity's most fatal failure, the total inability to cooperate at the precipice of extinction. Due to persistent wishful thinking, exemplified by our initial COVID-19 response, we ignored warnings until we crossed irreversible environmental or technological threshold. We might miss the final window for climate change, triggering one-way feedback loops, displacing hundreds of millions and igniting geopolitical tension. The problem won't be lack of resources, but our inability to unite. Even more dangerously, the arms race in unregulated AI could lead to a catastrophic conflict. Imagine two global powers having automated defense system. If one AI misinterprets a signal as an attack and retaliates instantly without human oversight, it could trigger an irreversible civilization-ending chain reaction. This extreme speed compresses human responses time to zero, making accidental large-scale war a constant threat.
Dr. Fung has laid out a stark picture, a system paralyzed by tribalism, locked in by unsustainable debt, and blinded by wishful thinking, a comprehensive disintegration from within. We need concrete solutions to hit the brakes and rebuild resilience. And as a digital ethics architect, I will start with the first lever, reclaiming control over our cognitive landscape. We start by institutionalizing our values and fixing the algorithms that are actively tearing us apart. Precisely because we master how, but not what is right. We must force our systems to embed ethical evaluation before we act. This is Act 1, reclaiming control over technology and the mind. First, we mandate a human and planetary value impact statement, like drug toxicity trials or construction EIAs. This independent assessment for major tech, like AGI or infrastructure, forces decision makers to consider long-term resilience. Critically, this process of retroactively assessing our current tech, like social media, helps us build the frameworks and ethical standards we need to safely evaluate future technologies. Drawing from this assessment, we must implement rules to limit the side effects of algorithms. This means legislative action for social media companies. For example, a mandatory 40% rule. 40% of a user's feed must be non-personalized, diverse, and cross-cutting perspectives. This is about forcibly bursting echo chambers, rebuilding shared reality. Furthermore, beyond these direct technological limitations, we must also build human resilience against technology's negative impacts through education. Thus, I recommend a mandatory digital detox and introspection curriculum in education. Enforcing screen-free days and critical thinking cuts external stimuli, allowing the next generation to reconnect with inner values and strengthen mental fortitude.
Thank you, Zoe. Building on that, we need to address the economic structural lock-in and unlimited growth pathology. This is Action 2, incremental collaboration and social value reconstruction. Instead of pushing grand treaties that hit political walls, like those after the 2025 shutdowns deepened divides, we use low-paying, high-visibility incremental industry agreements. For instance, a green fuel microtax and global shipping, a fraction of a cent funds clean tech, or digital carbon footprint transparency for AI companies. Compliant business get green labels. These small verifiable steps avoid political toxicity, build trust, and safely redirect capital away from the unlimited growth trap. But economics isn't enough. We need a cultural shift to address the core unlimited growth pathology. We propose a universal social reflection initiative driven by independent NGOs immune to state politics. Through mass localized interviews and community forums, citizens discuss what is enough, how do we find fulfillment outside consumption. This bottom-up approach builds critical consensus, rebuilding the shared myth and making society less susceptible to cognitive hijacking, but building a resilient society, which also means preparing for the worst. For that ultimate layer of defense, I turn it over to Stephen.
Thank you, Jessica. Indeed, we must prepare for systemic failure. This is the ultimate defense for civilizational survival. This begins with a global extreme risk census dialogue, led by the world's top scientists. This dialogue will not just analyze, but strategize. It will first predict and clarify, deeply analyze all potential extreme risks, like runaway AI, climate collapse, super pandemics, or astronaut impacts, forecasting their trends and probabilities. Second is respond and preserve. Crucially, it will discuss and establish specific test contingency plans for each disaster, and determine how to preserve human civilization's spark through a decentralized global resilience network, DGRN, even in the event of ultimate destruction. The outcomes of this dialogue will build a global disaster digital twin platform. This isn't just a simulation, it's a testing ground for our very survival. Within this digital twin, scientists will experiment with and optimize the DGRN functions. When policymakers visually see the devastating quantifiable cost of non-cooperation, when they see their own nations destroyed in the simulation, it will shatter their wishful thinking and generate the momentum for action. Simultaneously, NGOs and researchers will promote the piloting and initial construction of the decentralized global resilience network. This will involve physical life outposts, hundreds of standardized life outposts in geologically stable, deep underground zones. These aren't just bunkers, they are comprehensive civilizational archives. They contain seed vaults and human gene banks equipped with autonomous motherless gestation technology. Crucially, these outposts will house sophisticated, durable educational systems, such as AI tutor with pre-programmed ethical frameworks, and historical lessons including the unlimited growth pathology and its consequences. The goal is that new generations will not only survive, but understanding past mistakes and rebuild wisely. Knowledge and wisdom inheritance. A blockchain-based global knowledge public ledger will store core scientific cultural wisdom to ensure access even without modern tech. Information will be stored across multiple physical mediums, like durable edge plates, microfilms, simple optical discs, replicated across all DGRN outposts, and a deep space satellite backup. We will design distributed governance protocols that are robust and understandable with basic scientific knowledge, ensuring human wisdom can be learned and applied by whoever comes next.
Thank you, all professionals, from proactive tech regulation to an ultimate decentralized defense for our civilization. This has been a powerful yet sobering discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at the 2025 government shutdown, the 2021 Suez Canal blockage, the COVID-19 pandemic response, it is easy to feel despair. But I want to leave you with this thought. Collapse is also an opportunity. A breakdown of an unsustainable system is not necessarily the end of the world. It is often a brutal but necessary reset. Remember, humanity's mammalian ancestors only grew, evolved, and thrived because of the collapse of the dinosaurs. This is crucial. Unlike the dinosaurs, whose demise was due to an external cosmic event, our current crisis is largely self-inflicted. This means we have agency. It means if we choose to change, there is hope. The destruction of a flawed system gives birth to a wiser one. These actions, from mandating value impact statements and bursting algorithmic echo chambers to building decentralized resilience networks, are not fantasies. They are pragmatic, actionable choices. We know how to build the future. Now we must choose to do what is right. The future is not a predetermined tragedy waiting to happen. It is a reality we will create by the collective actions we take today. Thank you all for joining us. And this is our reference list.
OK，我们有点超时，16分28。我感觉虽然我们中间有一些小